evening and many thanks for joining us live on QTV. You are watching QTV News and I am Ajibentu Drame. In tonight's top stories, at least 11 people are reported to have lost their lives in the wake of the July 30th flash floods across the country, according to a situation report by the National Disaster Management Agency. Following the launch of another vaccination campaign, officials of the Ministry of Health visited vaccination centers in the Greater Banjul area on Friday to assess the level of progress and sensitize the public on the importance of the vaccine. The Gambia, through the National Youth Council, joined the wall on Friday to commemorate International Youth Day 2022. Also, on the commemoration of the International Youth Day, we speak to young people to find out what the day means to them. And in business news, the Gambia Chamber of Commerce and Industry, GCCI, briefed the media on Friday on its upcoming annual general meeting scheduled for the 2nd of September 2022. Those are our main headlines. Now the news in detail. Now, after the unfortunate incident involving the deaths of 4 State Guard personnel from the presidential convoy, the president gave a statement. Here's the statement.
The Office of the President regrets to inform the public that an unfortunate fatal accident involving 5 State Guard personnel occurred today at Ndembam while escorting reserve vehicles of the convoy to Mankamang, Kunda. 4 security personnel, Lance Corporal Keba Sane, Corporal Ansumana Danso, Lance Corporal Sekou Toure, and Lance Corporal Usman Job, were pronounced dead at Biom General Hospital. First Class Ndende Bahum is currently being managed at Biom General Hospital, and his condition is reported non-critical and clinically stable. All clinical assessments and initial investigations are considered normal and will be referred to Edward Francis Small Teaching Hospital in Denver Center for further specialist assessment and evaluation. President Barrow profoundly regrets this unfortunate accident and prays Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant them the highest of Jannah. The President extends his deepest sorrow to their families and wishes Ndende Bahum a speedy recovery.
Moving on, at least 11 people are reported to have lost their lives in the wake of the July 30th flash floods, according to a situational report by the National Disaster Management Agency. The report also indicates that over 37,000 people were directly affected by the devastating floods across the country. Mobdullah Minchoy reports.
The July 30th and 31st flash floods have gone down as the worst Gambia has seen for nearly half a century, along with devastating torrential rain and windstorm that caused casualties, with hundreds of thousands estimated to have been negatively impacted across the country. A situational report by the National Disaster Management Agency reveals shocking details of the flash floods. Sanadaba is the NDMA Executive Director.
As of now, over 114,000 people have been impacted. 11 lives have been lost, and we want to sympathize with the families who have actually lost their loved ones.
The urban area, particularly in the West Coast region, the KM and Banjul, have been the hardest hit. The heavy downpour led to destruction of shelter and over 6,000 internally displaced people countrywide. The most affected are children and females, accounting for 22% and 51% respectively. Of these, 2,446 are pregnant and breastfeeding women. The National Disaster Management Agency and the Gambia Red Cross Society have established this temporary camp at St. Augustine High School for 350 internally displaced people in Banjul, most of whom are children and women.
Banjul actually had the severest impact when it comes to disaster. The government, in collaboration with the other partners, brought in 2 new pumping machines. And then we are also glad to inform the public that the President, Adam Barrow, has also donated 10 pumps which arrived yesterday morning.
There is a risk of persisting problem causing higher vulnerability to communities due to 298 water points and 981 sanitation facilities being affected. Of particular concern for the NDMA are communities in the Greater Banjul area, such as Ibo Town, Nemakunku, Kotumanjai, and Tobacco Road in Banjul. In many of the affected communities, drainage and sewage systems are reported to have been blocked because of waste being disposed of in gutters.
We actually advise the public to adhere to expert advice when it comes to climate change. You can see people settling on waterways, you can see indiscriminate dumping of waste, which is actually inducing some of the floods that actually happening at the moment.
During the time of disasters like this, quick response to mitigate severe impact on victims is a necessity, and bearing the greatest responsibility is government.
The government of the Gambia is providing a rapid response in the form of relief service. The government is also engaging the partners so that we can come up with a medium-term response. After the medium-term response, then we are also planning for a long-term recovery intervention at the moment. Government is actually engaging partners. For the medium term, we can come up with the issue of resettlement, the resettlement of IDP. Also, we are providing psychosocial support to the victims as well as supporting their medical needs at the moment.
The immediate needs for the victims are relief assistance such as food, shelter, water and hygiene facilities, health surveillance for possible disease outbreak and other basic amenities. Victims of a natural disaster are in need, and the lifeline is a swift, meaningful and coordinated response. Mohamed Lamin Chai, QTV News.
Following the launch of another vaccination campaign to meet its target of vaccinating at least 70% of the population, officials of the Ministry of Health visited vaccination centers in the Greater Banjul area on Friday to assess the level of progress and sensitize the public on the importance of the vaccine. Loli M. Kamara was with the team and filed in this report.
The purpose of the caravan, which will include visits to all regions of the country, is to ensure that by the end of 2022, the 70% target set by the government and WHO will be achieved. Public health officials are deployed to various health facilities across the country to administer the COVID-19 vaccines. Adama Sanyang is the public health officer at the Bakau Health Center. According to him, the turnout has been impressive since the campaign was launched. However, he said there are factors affecting a huge turnout.
I would say the closure of schools, because most of the time when we are doing campaigns, we target these schools and we meet these children, especially for Pfizer, which is even at 12 years and above. But currently schools are closed, so when we get to the schools, we will only found few that are going for studies, so the rest they are not coming. So you will see that also affect our targets. The other thing might be the minds that are in the community. People are thinking so many things that are not true about the vaccine. So that may also lead us to have a low coverage.
Mr. Sanyang called on the public to come forward and take the jab, as millions around the world have taken the vaccines and they are proven to be safe. At the Bakau Health Center, I was among those who took the Pfizer immune booster. Public health officials deployed to communities are going house to house to administer the vaccines. Udoka Celestina, a public health officer attached to the Bakau Health Center, says the process is going on smoothly and people are cooperating.
Yes, we started actually yesterday, but yesterday it was a bit rough, but today it's going on well because the people are really accepting it.
In this compound in Bakau, almost all of the residents have taken the vaccine for the second to the third time. Both Sajo Sonko and Aja Binta Sonko explain their reason for taking the jab.
I took this injection to protect my own health because I want to protect myself and my family from the vaccine. I took the vaccine to protect myself because this sickness has no boundary. If one could remember, the country was hit hard by the pandemic, so that should convince everyone to take the vaccine for one's protection and safety.
Nyima Sedikan, a resident of Bakau, also took the shot. She says she travels a lot and therefore she needs to be vaccinated. From Bakau, the team visited the Serakunda Health Center, where the turnout was low. Amadou Kante came all the way from Badibu to get the vaccine. This is what he told us after taking his shot.
The injection is important, and everyone should take it, because it protects you from the sickness. Another advantage is that it makes traveling abroad very easy.
Binta Mane, a public health officer at the Serekunda Health Center, revealed that most of the people taking the jab are those planning to travel. Lamin K. Sise, head of public health unit at the Serekunda Health Center, has this to say about the process.
So since 2020, it has put a lot of pressure on the government. So on that note, WHO in collaboration with Ministry of Health, so they deemed it necessary to come with a lot of measures in which this virus can be suppressed. So one of the most cost-effective measures is vaccination.
Aja Kande, Communications Officer, EPI, is highly optimistic that the ministry will achieve the 70% target by the end of this year.
Yes, it is not a problem. It has been done, and we have been conducting series of vaccination campaigns in this country, and all of them have been successful. So I have no doubt, with the cooperation of the population, that we will be able to achieve the 70% by end of this year.
For QTV News, Lolly M. Kamara.
Moving on, the Gambia, through the National Youth Council, today joined the world to commemorate International Youth Day 2022 with the theme Intergenerational Solidarity, Creating a World for All Ages. Alicia reports.
This year's commemoration brought together youth leaders, youth organizations, and UN representatives to reflect on issues affecting young people, to map out solutions towards achieving the UN set goals, and to also celebrate the potential in young people. In 1999, the UN General Assembly endorsed 12 August as International Youth Day to promote awareness of the World Program of Action for Youth. Alhaji Jaju, Executive Director of the National Youth Council, believes the theme is apt and important for sharing ideas and experiences among the different generations.
One thing is obvious, our lives are intertwined. If you want to talk of celebrating International Youth Day, you cannot leave the children out. They are going to be the young people tomorrow. And it's obvious as young people will be the elderly. But we also equally need to learn, from that generation, that has been there, have gone through all the hurdles of life, be it work, be it, hurdles of education. They've gone through it all. And for us preparing to go through the same and to do better than they have, it's important that we are able to bridge that gap and have that dialogue and that solidarity amongst ourselves. And that's the more reason why the theme for this year, which is International Youth Day.
Usman Fati, chairman of the National Youth Council, said the event will, among other things, help youth and stakeholders identify solutions facing young people, such as irregular migration and unemployment. Fati urged young people to engage in more productive ventures to impact their lives. Thomas Kimaru of the UNDP Gambia, on behalf of the UN system in the Gambia, said the day is another opportunity for governments to draw attention to youth issues and the need to actively engage them.
Today we are reminded of the power of partnerships across generations, as this year's theme is intergenerational solidarity. We must foster successful and equitable intergenerational relations and collaboration to ensure that no one is left behind. We need people of all ages, young and old alike, to join forces to build a better world for all. In a society where young people are ignored in decision-making processes, or where older generations are denied a chance to be heard, we all lose.
Deputizing for the Youth Minister, Abbas Ba, Executive Director of the National Enterprise Development Initiative, NEDI, renewed government of the Gambia's commitment to the development of young people as critical pillar for socio-economic development.
The world today needs our collective endeavors to make sure that we have a better world for all. It is no more the youth against the other. It is about working together, the youth and the older generations, to making sure that we achieve the Agenda 2030. The Gambia has a young population with more than 60% of its population under the age of 35. This means that there cannot be a meaningful development without the involvement of this energetic population. This is the more reason the government of the Gambia has instituted a ministry, as well as satellite institutions, to critically look into the welfare of the youths.
This year's theme seeks to amplify the message of the need for more action from all generations to achieve the Agenda 2030 and its 17 Sustainable Development Goals. The commemoration also featured an intergenerational dialogue of panelists from different generations. Reporting for QTV News, I am Aliou Cisse.
And from that story, we will go for a commercial break. Still to come, we have more stories, to stay tuned.
Top of the world, like nothing's ever gonna bring me down. This feeling got me flying high as a bird. I may never touch the ground. It may not be my birthday, but I just wanna celebrate.
Have you been looking for the perfect indoor router with long-range Wi-Fi coverage and faster internet speed connecting all your smart devices? Well, we present to you the Qcell Indoor Router, a router that has all you need and much more. For just $4,275, you can get 4G plus internet speed, wide coverage, and connect up to 15 devices. And that's not all. The indoor router can be used for both office and home needs. So, enhance your internet experience with our indoor router. For more info, call our customer care on 111. Qcell, Senior Bus. We innovate, others follow.
Welcome back. Now, as we commemorate International Youth Day on the theme Intergenerational Solidarity, Creating a World for All Ages, our reporter Jada Bosonko spoke to young people to find out what the day meant for them. Here is the report.
The idea for International Youth Day was proposed in the 1991 session of the World Youth Forum of the United Nations System. International Youth Day 2022 is meant to amplify the message that action is needed across all generations to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. Now, what does International Youth Day mean for young people? Here is what it means for youth, Marawi Amfal Haidara.
I think this day is one of the most important days as far as I am concerned, because I'm still a youth, and it also means that I have to reflect on some of the things that I have gone through from 2021 to 2022, how much I have grown and how much I have participated in making this country a better place, and of course how much I should do more to make sure that in next year at least we say the Gambia is not only a youthful population by number, but also in action.
The Global Report on Ageism launched by the United Nations highlights that although there's a lack of research to defend this narrative, young people continue to report age-related barriers in various spheres of their lives, such as employment, political participation, health and justice. What role can intergenerational solidarity play?
I think intergenerational dialogue is pretty much important, because that is how we can have a consensus. Unless we sit at the table and have this conversation, we can never move forward. And there's a barrier between the young and the old, and that still continues to persist. Unless we talk about it, like I said, it will not work for young people. It would definitely not work for the old people. So young people have this innovation, and the old people need to embrace it. And that is where the fight is. We have to be able to embrace young people's innovation.
Intergenerational interventions are key strategies to address ageism. Intergenerational activities can also lead to a greater sense of social connectedness and strengthen intergenerational solidarity.
Actually, these youths should be considered in national development, because without these youths, I don't think we ourselves will be here. So the government should help us, to create educational facilities, more job facilities, for them to stop sitting down on these booths, brewing attire,
or smoking.
Now, the Gambia has its youth population standing about 60%. And also, this is a country where youth unemployment it's quite high. Even young people who have jobs and are still under the poverty line. Now, the United Nations is saying that to actually change this particular narrative, efforts should be redoubled to be able to ensure sustainable growth as well as decent job. If this does not happen, it means that the goal for 2030, ending poverty, might not be achievable at all. Reporting for QTV News, I am Jenna Bosonko.
And now in business news. The Gambia Chamber of Commerce and Industry, GCCI, briefed the media on Friday on its upcoming annual general meeting to be held on the 2nd of September 2022 at the Sir Dawda Kairaba Jawara Conference Center in Bijilo. Omar P. Jallo attended the briefing and filed in this report.
The annual general meeting will be attended by GCCI members comprising small, medium and large businesses in the country. At the event, the president of GCCI will present his annual report for discussion, the presentation and adoption of the auditor's report and financial statement for the year ended December 2021. Almame Funding Tal, a member of the GCCI Advisory Committee and former CEO of the Chamber, reveals that as part of the agenda, elections will also be held for the positions of President, Vice President, Treasurer and 5 other ordinary members to serve a 3-year term. Abdullah M. Toure, also a member of the Advisory Committee and a former president of the GCCI, said for one to be eligible to be a member of the board of directors, a candidate must be a fully paid off member of the chamber and must not have been in arrears on their annual subscription fees within the 3 years prior to the date of the election. Furthermore, any candidate nominated by a company must present their employer's audited financial statements. And in the case of an individual, a tax clearance for the same period will suffice.
We of course know that the GCCI is the apex umbrella body for private sector development and all related activities pertaining thereto. And they are expected to hold an annual general meeting every year. That is by way of custom. But also every 3 years they are expected to hold an annual general assembly to also coincide with the election of new officers. Now, all of us know that the AGM is the highest decision-making organ of the chamber, and it is vested with the authority to consider any matter, amend and or overturn any decision made by any of the organs of the chamber. And the AGM is constitute the general membership of the chamber.
Delivering the vote of thanks, Kebanjai, a former president of GCCI, said since its inception in 1967, the GCCI has been the voice of business in the Gambia, as this chamber frequently engages businesses of all sizes and gathers their challenges to seek redress through policy, legislations and regulations.
We want to demonstrate the openness, the objectivity and the transparency that we exercise in terms of conducting our services to our members and for the greater population of this country.
The membership categories are extra large businesses who are entitled for 6 votes, large business 5 votes, medium business 4 votes, small business 3 votes, micro business 2 votes, and start-up business 1 vote. The composition of the board of directors is the president, vice president, treasurer, a representative of the tourism, construction and real estate, a representative of large employers, a representative of agriculture, agro-industry, manufacturers and exporters, a youth representative, a representative of importers, traders, retailers, MSMEs and transport, a representative of banking, insurance or financial services, GPA ex-officer member, GAIPA ex-officer member and the GCCI CEO. Members wishing to contest for the office of the president, the vice president and the treasurer of the board of directors must complete a prescribed nomination form supported by the endorsement of 5 paid-off members of the chamber. Reporting for QTV News, I am Omar P. Jallo.
Before we end this bulletin, here's a recap of our main headlines. At least 11 people are reported to have lost their lives in the wake of the July 30th flash floods, according to a situational report by the National Disaster Management Agency. Following the launch of another vaccination campaign, officials of the Ministry of Health visited vaccination centers in the Greater Banjul area on Friday to assess the level of progress and sensitize the public on the importance of the vaccine. The Gambia, through the National Youth Council, on Friday joined the wall to commemorate International Youth Day 2022. Also, on the commemoration of the International Youth Day, we spoke to young people to find out what the day means for them. And in business news, the Gambia Chamber of Commerce and Industry GCCI on Friday briefed the media on its upcoming annual general meeting to be held on the 2nd of September 2022. Well, that's it from me for this edition. Thanks for watching.